Losing time, I'm fading fast. I just wanna make it last. Try to let go of the past. I close my eyes, embrace the blast. Sleepless nights and headache stack. Restlessness to hell and back.
The all-new Realme Neo 8 is finally here, and it's bringing Samsung's latest 165Hz display to the table for the first time in China. That already sounds exciting, but how does the rest of the phone stack up? In this detailed first test, let's break down exactly where this device stands and what it really offers. A quick shout out to my tech partner from China for sharing this video. A big thank you for making this possible. Hey everyone, it's Maiky from Maiky. If you love staying updated with the latest gadgets, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our exciting tech content. Starting from the front, you get a flat display with impressively slim bezels, 2.76 millimeters on the top and sides and 2.81 millimeters at the bottom. The overall symmetry looks clean and well balanced. The glass back blends smoothly into the frame, and it has fine metallic particles embedded into it, giving off a semi-gloss finish that doesn't easily pick up fingerprints. On the opposite edge, there's a subtle curve transition that improves the in-hand feel. Up front, the screen area integrates the speaker and microphone openings neatly, along with a dust-proof bent pipe structure. Around the back, you'll find the curved remote-style design element. At the bottom, there's a USB 2.0 port. The physical buttons skip flashy high-gloss chamfers and instead focus on practicality, delivering a firm, springy press with very subtle vibration feedback. The rear design is particularly interesting. It uses a transparent look combined with a slow reflective treatment, which creates a layered texture and even gives off a slight metallic vibe. Beneath that, there's mechanical embossing and a dedicated nameplate that adds character. We received two color variants. How would you score them? The telephoto lens is surprisingly discreet. If no one told you it was there, you might not even notice it. Even more distinctive is the light strip on the back, called the Awakening Halo. It works as a notification light and even interacts with payment alerts. It also acts as ambient lighting during games, includes exclusive effects for titles like Wang Zhong Yao, syncs with music as a light filter, and even supports a countdown timer and always-on function for photography. In terms of dimensions, the phone measures 8.4 millimeters thick, with the camera module reaching 11.3 millimeters at its highest point. The total weight comes in at 218.07 grams. When placed on a flat surface, there's a noticeable seesaw effect due to the camera bump. Inside the box, you get a clear protective case. The device supports IP66, IP68, and IP69 water resistance ratings and features a 3D ultrasonic fingerprint sensor. The fingerprint placement feels natural, and unlocking is quick and responsive. We've already conducted a full display analysis in a previous test, including how to fine-tune color temperature and enable eye protection settings. Despite carefully validating each result, many viewers asked us to compare camera shutter speeds. So for this particular test, we won't be covering that aspect. We've also introduced a new open test method that anyone can use to evaluate their own device for free. Additionally, we carried out supplementary testing using polarized light. Under a polarizing filter at certain angles, polarized light appeared almost entirely black, while the device itself only showed edge coloration instead of turning completely black. This behavior aligns more closely with the original polarized light characteristics. As expected, unpolarized light passed straight through without noticeable change. The front camera and virtual lighting setup are already familiar to most users. Powering the device is the Snapdragon 8 Gen 5 processor, which we've previously explained in detail. It's paired with LPDDR5X RAM and UFS 4.1 storage, ensuring strong data speeds and smooth overall performance. For thermal management, it uses Xiaomi's VC liquid cooling system combined with graphite layers. Temperature control modes can be adjusted between softer and more aggressive performance tuning. For our testing, we stuck to default settings in a 26 degrees Celsius room with screen brightness set to 350 nits. Performance was pushed to its limits across different scenarios. The device averaged 37.9 FPS with a minimum of 25 FPS, and gameplay remained almost entirely free from noticeable stutters. Around the 8-minute mark, temperatures peaked and throttling kicked in briefly before stabilizing again. The highest temperature recorded was 47.2 degrees Celsius on the front and 46.2 degrees on the back. Definitely warm, but heat distribution was clearly segmented. Along the midframe, the top reached 40.1 degrees Celsius, the bottom 41.5 degrees Celsius, the left side 44 degrees Celsius, and the right side 43.3 degrees Celsius. Importantly, the area most in contact with your hand stayed comparatively cooler. For gamers, Genshin Impact supports both super resolution and super frame features on this device, and we've already shared the detailed performance data for those modes. That's the complete breakdown of the Realme Neo 8's first in-depth test. This time around, the phone introduces a brand new PC handheld mode that can run Steam games directly. That's a pretty exciting addition if you're into portable gaming. Even so, I'd still suggest pairing it with a proper controller for the best experience. At the moment, it supports more than 50 titles, and the list keeps growing. On the mobile app side, it already handles high frame rate games, just like you saw earlier, and the developers are continuing to roll out new features. We already tested the touch controls in the display section, so we won't go over that again here. Beyond that, you also get built-in sound effects, vibration feedback, and AI-powered assistance, making the whole setup feel very complete. Now let's talk battery. It packs a large 8,000 mAh cell with support for 80 watts fast charging. Using an Oppo charging brick and an 8A cable, we measured peak charging speeds at about 70 watts. When it comes to compatibility, it supports UFCS at 24 watts, standard PD at 13 watts, and PPS at 44 watts. Charging while using the phone is handled more conservatively. Once the temperature reaches around 35 degrees Celsius, charging power drops to roughly 10 watts. It also supports global bypass power supply, which is great for gaming while plugged in. Signal performance is backed by the Sky S1 chip, along with the 5000A system and X8022 configuration, with supported bands shown earlier. Wi-Fi 7 is included and supports MRO 2.2 MIMO. For navigation, it uses dual-frequency GPS. NFC is fully functional with 360-degree coverage, similar to Oppo's implementation. You also get Bluetooth 6.0, dual stereo speakers, and an XGA linear motor for enhanced haptic feedback, rounding out the hardware package nicely. On the camera side, it features a triple lens setup. The main camera is a 50-megapixel Sony sensor with 2-axis optical stabilization and light source anti-shake technology. There's also a 315x telephoto lens with 2-axis OIS, plus AI-powered scene recognition. The ultra-wide camera is an 8-megapixel pan-focus lens offering a 112-degree field of view and 0.6x zoom. What's interesting is that professional mode is integrated directly with image tone adjustments, and there's also a dedicated landscape mode. A 50-megapixel high-resolution toggle is included, along with separate high-res and night modes, giving the overall camera system a bit of that Oppo and Vivo-style integration feel. As for pricing, the base version of the Realme Neo 8 starts at 2,399 yuan in China, which is roughly 255 pounds in the UK, and about 433 US dollars. Looking at the overall package, there aren't any major weaknesses that stand out. The handheld focus design, adjustable temperature control, ambient lighting effects, and 165 Hz refresh rate really push its gaming and esports identity to the forefront. The DC-style display mainly shows refresh rate fluctuations, which actually brings flicker down to a new low. It even includes active keystone correction and a periscope-style telephoto lens. For a first model coming from Oppo under this approach, it's honestly quite impressive. So, what do you think about it? Drop your thoughts in the comments below and let's chat about it. I'll see you in the next one.